What's the most entitled thing a family member has demanded from you? My cousin Ashley called me on a Tuesday morning and asked if I'd donate one of my kidneys to her. No small talk, no build-up, just straight to the request like she was asking to borrow my car. She said her kidneys were failing and I was a perfect match based on some genetic testing she'd had done last year. She needed an answer within a week because the surgery was already scheduled. I told her I needed time to think about it, and she got angry. Said family was supposed to help family, that I was being selfish, that she'd do it for me without hesitation. Then she hung up before I could respond. The thing that bothered me wasn't the ask itself. Kidney donation is serious, but if Ashley really needed it, I'd have considered it. What bothered me was how she asked. No explanation of her condition, no mention of other options, no acknowledgement that this was a massive request. I called my Aunt Linda, Ashley's mom, to ask about Ashley's health. Linda sounded confused. She said Ashley had been perfectly healthy at her last checkup 3 months ago. No kidney problems, no dialysis, nothing. When I mentioned the donation request, Linda went quiet for a long time before saying she'd call me back. She never did. Instead, Ashley's husband Mark showed up at my apartment that night. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, and he kept glancing at his phone like he was expecting a call. He asked if I'd made a decision yet, and when I said I had questions first, he got defensive. He kept insisting there wasn't time for questions, that Ashley needed this now, that every day I delayed was putting her life at risk. I asked to see Ashley's medical records. Mark said they were private and none of my business. I pointed out that if I was donating an organ, it absolutely was my business. He left without another word. That's when things started feeling wrong. I drove to Ashley's house the next day, unannounced. The lights were off, even though it was 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. Her car was in the driveway. I knocked for 5 minutes before she finally answered, and she looked terrible, but not sick terrible, scared terrible. She wouldn't let me inside, stood in the doorway with her body blocking the entrance. Behind her, I could see suitcases in the hallway, moving boxes stacked in the living room. She said they were just doing some organizing, but her hands were shaking. I asked directly about her kidney disease. What stage was she at? How long had she known? What did her doctors say? Ashley stumbled over her answers, giving vague responses that didn't match up. She said she'd been sick for 2 years, but then said her diagnosis came last month. She claimed she was on dialysis 3 times a week, but her arms had no marks from IV sites. The next morning, I called the hospital where Ashley supposedly had her nephrologist. They had no patient by her name. I tried 2 other hospitals in the area. Nothing. I even checked her social media going back 6 months. Ashley had posted gym selfies, hiking photos, pictures of nights out with friends, nothing suggesting someone dealing with kidney failure. I went to see my Aunt Linda again. This time she looked scared. She begged me not to donate, then immediately took it back and said I should do whatever I felt was right. She kept contradicting herself, wringing her hands, looking toward the stairs like someone might be listening. I asked her straight out if Ashley actually had kidney disease. Linda's face crumpled and she started crying. She said she couldn't talk about it, that it wasn't her place, that there were things I didn't understand. Before she could explain, Uncle Rick came downstairs and told me I needed to leave. That night, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. A woman's voice, older, nervous. She said her name was Patricia, and she was Mark's mother. She said she'd heard I was considering the donation and she needed to tell me something important. That Ashley's request wasn't what it seemed. That the kidney wasn't actually for Ashley. My blood went cold. I asked who it was for then. Patricia's voice dropped to barely a whisper. She said Mark's brother had been in an accident 2 years ago and needed a transplant desperately. That Mark and Ashley had been trying to find a donor, but no one in their family matched. When they discovered I was a match through some genetic database, they'd fabricated the whole story about Ashley being sick. But that wasn't the worst part, because what Patricia told me next made me realize just how far they'd been willing to go. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below. Patricia's voice trembles as she lowers it to just above a whisper. Mark's brother, Jason, has been in prison for the last 3 years on aggravated assault charges. He's got a history of violence dating back to his teens. My stomach tightens as I grip my phone harder. What does this have to do with the kidney? 2 months ago, Jason was involved in a prison fight. It was brutal. He was stabbed multiple times with a makeshift weapon. Both his kidneys were damaged beyond repair. She pauses, and I can hear her shallow breathing. He's been on dialysis since then, but the doctors say he needs a transplant soon or he won't make it. The pieces start falling into place, so the kidney isn't for Ashley at all. No, Patricia confirms. It's for Jason. Mark and Ashley have been desperate to find a match. When they discovered you were compatible through that genetic database you mentioned, she trails off. They decided to lie to me instead of just asking. I finish, anger rising in my chest. It's worse than that, Patricia says. Mark owes Jason's gang money a lot of money. Jason kept Mark protected inside during a 6-month stint he did for fraud 2 years ago. The gang wants payment, and Mark doesn't have it. This kidney. It's how he's paying his debt. My blood runs cold. Are you saying they're treating my kidney like some kind of currency? Yes, and there's something else you need to know. Her voice drops even lower. They don't plan on using proper medical channels. The surgery they've scheduled isn't at a hospital. They've arranged for an underground surgeon who works with the gang. He operates out of a warehouse near the industrial district. I feel physically sick. They were going to take my kidney in a warehouse? I'm so sorry. I only found out yesterday when I overheard Mark on the phone. He doesn't know I know. There's genuine fear in her voice. You need to stay away from them. These people are dangerous. Why are you telling me this? I ask, though I already suspect the answer. Because I can't have another death on my conscience. Jason has hurt people badly, and now Mark is following in his footsteps. She pauses. I should have spoken up years ago when I first saw the signs. Maybe things would be different. I thank Patricia for her warning and end the call. For several minutes, I just sit in my car outside her house, trying to process what I've learned. My own cousin was willing to lure me into a dangerous, illegal organ harvesting scheme to save her husband's criminal brother. The suitcases and boxes at their house weren't for organizing. They were planning to disappear after they got what they they wanted from me. My hands shake as I start the car. I need to get away from here. As I drive, my mind races through everything that's happened. The fake illness story, the pressure to decide quickly, Mark's desperation, Linda's fear. It was all a setup. I pull over at a gas station, unable to focus on driving. I need to call the police. This isn't just about a kidney anymore. It's about an illegal organ trafficking operation tied to a prison gang. I dial 911 with trembling fingers. 911. What's your emergency? The dispatcher's calm voice is a stark contrast to my racing heart. I need to report an attempted organ trafficking situation, I say, my voice surprisingly steady despite my panic. My cousin and her husband tried to trick me into donating my kidney for an illegal operation. There's a brief pause. Sir, are you in immediate danger right now? No, I'm safe. I'm at a gas station about 20 minutes from their house. Can you provide me with names and addresses? I give the dispatcher all the details, Ashley and Mark's full names, their address, everything Patricia told me about Jason and the planned illegal surgery. The dispatcher takes it all down and tells me an officer will meet me at the gas station to take a full statement. While waiting for the police, I call my parents. They need to know what's happening, especially since this involves family. My mother answers on the third ring. Hello? Mom, something really bad is happening. My voice cracks. Ashley and Mark tried to trick me into donating a kidney for Mark's criminal brother. They were going to have it done by some underground surgeon. What? She sounds shocked. That's insane. Are you okay? Where are you? I'm fine. I'm waiting for the police now. I explain everything Patricia told me, hearing my mother's gasps of disbelief. I always knew there was something off about Mark, she says when I finish, but I never thought Ashley would be involved in something like this. Does Linda know? I think she does. She seemed terrified when I visited her. She kept contradicting herself and looking scared. Poor Linda, my mother sighs. Rick has always had a tight grip on that household. If he's involved in this too, I see a police cruiser pull into the gas station parking lot. Mom, the police are here. I'll call you back after I give my statement. Be careful, honey. We'll be waiting to hear from you. I hang up and wave to the officer as he steps out of his car. He's middle-aged with a serious expression that softens slightly when he approaches. I'm Officer Daniels, he says. Dispatch told me you have information about a potential organ trafficking situation. I nod, suddenly feeling the weight of everything that's happened. Yes, it's about my cousin Ashley and her husband Mark. I take a deep breath. They tried to trick me into donating my kidney for an illegal operation. I just found out the truth tonight. Officer Daniels motions toward his cruiser. Let's sit inside and you can tell me everything from the beginning. As I slide into the passenger seat, I realize my life has changed forever. The family I thought I knew is now unrecognizable to me. Ashley's desperate phone call on Tuesday morning feels like it happened in another lifetime, though it's been less than a week. I clear my throat and begin telling Officer Daniels my story, wondering if Ashley and Mark have any idea that their plan is unraveling, or if they're still at home, waiting for me to call with my answer about the kidney donation that was never meant for Ashley at all. Officer Daniels takes detailed notes as I recount everything: the initial call from Ashley, the rush timeline, the suitcases at their house, and finally Patricia's shocking revelations. When I finish, he closes his notepad and sighs. I understand why you're concerned, and you did the right thing by reporting this, he says. But unfortunately, at this point, no actual crime has been committed that we can act on. What do you mean? I ask, my voice rising. They were planning to harvest my organ illegally. Planning isn't the same as doing, he explains patiently. Your cousin asked you to donate a kidney. You declined. No one forced you or threatened you. The information about the brother and the warehouse surgery is concerning, but secondhand. I stare at him in disbelief. So you're saying I need to wait until they actually try to cut me open in some warehouse before you'll do anything? Officer Daniels holds up a hand. I'm not dismissing this. We'll file a report and look into Mark's brother's gang connections. If there's an illegal organ trafficking operation, we want to know about it. But right now, we need more evidence. I leave the police station feeling frustrated and vulnerable. They promised to send an officer to drive by Ashley and Mark's house, but that's it. As I pull into my apartment complex, my phone buzzes with a text from Linda. Need to talk. Can you meet tomorrow morning? Don't tell Ashley. I reply with a simple yes and set a time to meet at a coffee shop across town. Sleep doesn't come easily that night. Every noise makes me jump, convinced that Mark or his brother's associates have come for revenge. The next morning, I arrive at the coffee shop 20 minutes early, choosing a table with a clear view of both entrances. Linda walks in 10 minutes late, looking haggard and nervous. She scans the room before spotting me and hurries over. They're gone, she says without preamble, sliding into the seat across from me. Ashley and Mark. They cleared out their house overnight. Everything's gone. My stomach drops. Gone where? I don't know, Linda says, her hands trembling as she clutches her purse. Ashley called me at 2 a.m. to say goodbye. Said they had to move up their timeline because of complications. She wouldn't tell me where they were going. Did you tell the police? Linda nods. This morning, they went to the house and confirmed it's completely empty, like they never lived there. A barista brings over the coffee I ordered for Linda. She wraps her hands around the mug but doesn't drink. There's more, she whispers, leaning forward. You weren't the first person they approached about a kidney. I feel the blood drain from my face. What? Last year, they contacted a second cousin on your father's side, Melissa. They told her the same story about Ashley needing a kidney. She agreed to get tested but wasn't a match. Linda's eyes fill with tears. Then 6 months ago, they found another distant relative through that DNA ancestry website. He was a match, but backed out at the last minute when he got suspicious about the hospital arrangements. Oh my God, I whisper. They've been targeting our family systematically. Linda nods, a tear sliding down her cheek. I should have said something sooner. I've known something was wrong for a long time, but I was scared. Rick, your uncle, he doesn't know anything about this. Ashley kept him in the dark. How long has Ashley been involved in this? I ask. Linda takes a shaky breath. It started 3 years ago. Mark introduced her to these people who said they could make a lot of money helping facilitate private organ donations. At first, she just helped with paperwork and finding potential donors. But after Mark's brother went to prison, things escalated. You're telling me Ashley has been trafficking organs for years? I can barely process this information. Not directly. She was more like a recruiter. Linda's voice drops even lower. But this time was different. This was for family Mark's brother. They were desperate. My phone buzzes with a call from an unknown number. I hesitate, then answer and put it on speaker. Hello? Is this the cousin Ashley Reeves approached about a kidney donation? A man's voice. Professional but urgent. Who's asking? My name is Detective Reynolds with the Organized Crime Unit. We need to speak with you immediately about Ashley and Mark Reeves in connection with an ongoing investigation into illegal organ trafficking. Linda's eyes widen in fear. I'm with Ashley's mother right now, I tell him. We're at Riverdale Coffee on 5th Street. Stay there. I'll have officers with you in 10 minutes. After I hang up, Linda grabs my wrist. They had already booked the surgeon, she says, her voice breaking, for next Tuesday, at a warehouse on Industrial Drive, the same man who's done 5 other illegal transplants for them. I feel physically ill. They were really going to go through with it. They were, Linda confirms, and they'll try again with someone else. Ashley told me they've already identified 3 other potential genetic matches. The coffee shop door opens, and 2 plainclothes officers enter, scanning the room before spotting us. As they approach our table, I realize this nightmare is far from over. In fact, it's only beginning to unfold. Miss Reeves? I'm Detective Reynolds, the taller one says, showing his badge. We need to talk about your daughter's involvement in an interstate organ trafficking ring we've been tracking for the past 18 months. Linda begins to sob quietly as I stare at the detective in shock. Whatever I thought I knew about my family has been a lie, and whatever danger I believed I was in was probably just the tip of the iceberg. Detective Reynolds sits across from me in a small interview room at the police station, his expression grave as he slides photos across the table. Each image shows Ashley with different people in various locations, restaurants, hotel lobbies, private homes. In every picture, she looks confident, professional, like a businesswoman closing deals. Your cousin has been on our radar for 18 months, Reynolds explains. We believe she's connected to at least 7 illegal organ transplants across 3 states. I stare at the photos, still struggling to reconcile this criminal with the Ashley I thought I knew. And Mark? Mostly muscle and logistics. His brother Jason is the real connection to the network. Reynolds taps a mugshot of a hard-faced man with the same eyes as Mark. Jason Winters, 3-time felon with ties to organized crime. His gang has been running a sophisticated organ trafficking operation targeting desperate patients willing to pay premium prices to skip waiting lists. Linda had been taken to another room for questioning. I'd watched her collapse into tears when they showed her evidence of Ashley's involvement: phone records, bank transfers, surveillance photos. We need your help, Reynolds says, leaning forward. Ashley trusts you. We want you to meet with her wearing a wire. My stomach drops. She's disappeared. How would I even contact her? She'll reach out. People in her position always circle back to verify their loose ends. His eyes meet mine. When she does, agree to meet. Tell her you've reconsidered about the kidney. That's insane, I protest. These people were going to cut me open in a warehouse. Reynolds nods. We'll have a team monitoring every second. The moment we have enough recorded evidence, we move in. I rub my temples, considering my options. If I refuse, Ashley continues targeting other relatives. If I agree, I'm putting myself directly in danger. What about Mark's brother? The gang? We're tracking them too. This could be our chance to bring down the entire operation. After 3 hours of discussion, preparation, and assurances about my safety, I reluctantly agree. They outfit me with a nearly invisible wire and send me home with instructions to act normally and wait. I don't have to wait long. That evening, my phone rings with an unknown number. Hello? I answer, heart racing. It's me. Ashley's voice sounds different, harder, more controlled. We need to talk. Ashley, where are you? Everyone's looking for you. Cut the crap, she interrupts. Did you talk to the police? I follow the script Reynolds gave me. Of course I did after you disappeared. They came by asking questions, but I didn't know what to tell them. A pause. So you didn't mention the kidney? No, I lie. I said you'd been having health problems, but nothing specific. I've been worried sick about you. Another long silence. Meet me tomorrow at Westside Park by the duck pond. Noon. Come alone. Ashley, what's going on? Are you in trouble? Just be there. The line goes dead. I immediately call Reynolds, who instructs me on exactly what to say and how to position myself for optimal audio recording. The next morning, a female officer helps secure the wire beneath my shirt while Reynolds briefs me again. Remember, get her talking about the operation, the surgeon, Jason's involvement. We need specifics on tape. The park is busy with families and joggers when I arrive. I spot Ashley sitting on a bench wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap. She looks thinner, tense. You came, she says as I sit beside her. Of course I did. Your family. She removes her sunglasses, studying my face. Are you wearing a wire? My heart stops, but I force a laugh. What? No. Jesus. Ashley, what kind of crime shows have you been watching? She doesn't smile. Lift your shirt. We're in a public park, just the bottom edge. Now, I reluctantly lift just the hem of my shirt, careful to keep the wire hidden higher up. She seems satisfied and relaxes slightly. I need to know if you've reconsidered, she says. About the kidney. I swallow hard. I've been thinking about it, but I need to understand what's really happening. This isn't for you, is it? Ashley's expression hardens. Does it matter? Family helps family. It matters if you're asking me to donate to a criminal. Her laugh is bitter. You have no idea how this world works. Do you know how many people die waiting for organs? The system is broken. So you're what, Robin Hood of kidneys? We provide a service. People who need organs get them. Donors get compensated. Everyone wins. Except I wasn't going to be compensated. I point out. You lied to me. Ashley leans closer. Mark's brother saved his life in prison. We owe him. But after this, we're free. The money from this operation alone will set us up for life. How much are they paying for my kidney? I ask, knowing Reynolds needs this on tape. $200,000. But that's not. And the surgeon? The one at the warehouse on Industrial Drive? Her eyes narrow. How do you know about that? Linda told me everything. I admit. About Melissa. Linda, about the other relative who backed out. Ashley's face darkens. Mom should have kept her mouth shut. How many people have you done this to, Ashley? She glances around before answering. 8 successful transplants. We've built a reputation for quality and discretion. The surgeon we work with is actually very skilled, former chief of transplant surgery at Memorial before he lost his license for opioid abuse. I feel sick as she casually discusses trafficking human organs. And Mark's brother? What's his role? Jason connects us with clients. His gang provides security and handles the money. She checks her watch. Look, I don't have much time. Are you in or out? Before I can answer, I notice a man approaching, tall, muscular, with the same eyes as Mark. Jason. My blood runs cold as I recognize him from the mugshot. 2 other men flank him, hands suspiciously positioned beneath their jackets. This him? Jason asks Ashley, who looks surprised and alarmed by his appearance. What are you doing here? She hisses. You were supposed to wait at the car. Jason ignores her, focusing on me. So you're the cousin with the spare parts. I hear Reynolds in my concealed earpiece. We see them. Stay calm. We're moving in. I was just explaining things to him, Ashley says quickly. He's considering it. Jason's smile doesn't reach his eyes. No time for considering. Schedule's moved up. Doctor's only in town today. One of Jason's men suddenly stiffens, scanning the park. 5-0, he mutters, nodding toward unmarked vehicles entering the parking area. Everything happens at once. Jason grabs my arm with crushing force. His associates pull guns. People in the park start screaming. Police officers emerge from multiple directions, weapons drawn, shouting commands. Police, drop your weapons. Instead of complying, Jason's men open fire. I wrench free in the chaos and sprint toward the park's public restrooms as bullets strike trees and concrete around me. I hear Ashley screaming my name, then more gunshots. I crash through the bathroom door, lock myself in a stall, and climb onto the toilet. The small window above is just big enough for me to squeeze through. As I tumble onto the grass outside, I hear Reynolds in my earpiece directing officers to my location. I run until strong arms grab me, and I nearly scream before recognizing the police vest. An officer rushes me to a waiting vehicle as the sound of gunfire continues behind us. We've got you, she says, pushing my head down as we speed away. You're safe now. But as I look back at the park, watching police cruisers and ambulances converge, I know this is far from over. Ashley's betrayal, Mark's desperation, Jason's criminal network, it's all connected in ways I'm only beginning to understand. And somehow, I've ended up at the center of it all. I wake up to the sound of my phone ringing at 5:38 a.m. Detective Reynolds' voice is clipped and urgent. We got them. Mark and Ashley were apprehended at a highway checkpoint 20 miles from the state line. They had fake IDs, burner phones, and $43,000 in cash. My body sags with relief as I sit up in bed. After escaping the park shootout 3 days ago, I've been staying in a hotel under police protection, jumping at every sound and checking the locks repeatedly. What about Jason? His associates? That's the bigger news, Reynolds says, and I can hear the satisfaction in his voice. We coordinated simultaneous raids across 3 locations based on intel from your recorded conversation. Jason and 5 other gang members are in custody. We found surgical equipment, medication, donor files, everything. I close my eyes processing this. So it's over? Not quite. I need you to come in. There are statements to take, evidence to review. And he pauses. Ashley's asking to see you. My stomach twists. Why would I want to see her? You don't have to, but she's claiming coercion, saying Mark and Jason forced her participation. The recordings from your wire tell a different story, but we'd like you to hear what she has to say. 2 hours later, I'm sitting across from Ashley in an interview room. She looks nothing like my childhood cousin in her orange jumpsuit, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back severely. The family resemblance is still there, but it's like looking at a stranger wearing a familiar face. Thank you for coming, she says, her voice subdued. I didn't come for you, I reply coldly. I came because I want answers. Ashley's eyes flicker down to her handcuffed wrists. I know you won't believe me, but I didn't want to hurt you. I was trapped. Save it. I cut her off. I heard you at the park. You called yourself a recruiter. You bragged about 8 successful transplants. You don't understand the pressure. You were going to let them cut me open in a warehouse. My voice rises sharply, and I force myself to take a deep breath. How many people died because of your service? Ashley's face hardens. None. Our surgeon was skilled. Everyone survived. Not everyone, Detective Reynolds says, entering the room with a file. Megan Carlisle, 34, died of sepsis after a kidney transplant performed by your surgeon 14 months ago in Columbus. Ashley pales. That's not possible, Dr. Whitman assured us. Dr. Robert Whitman has turned state's evidence. Reynolds interrupts, placing photos on the table. He's given us everything: dates, locations, names of donors and recipients, including the 3 relatives you were targeting after your cousin here. I stare at the photos of strangers, people who look like they could be distant family members, my potential replacements. How could you do this? I ask quietly. We grew up together. You were like my sister. For the first time, Ashley's composure cracks. It started small, just connecting people, making introductions. The money was incredible. Then Mark got involved with Jason's crew, and things escalated. She looks up, tears in her eyes. By the time I realized how deep we were, it was too late to get out. That's not what you said at the park, I remind her. You said you were building a reputation. You sounded proud. I had to say that. Jason was watching. You have no idea what he would have done if I'd shown any weakness. Reynolds slides another photo across the table, Ashley laughing with Jason at what appears to be a restaurant. This was taken 2 weeks ago. You don't look terrified here. Ashley falls silent, realizing her story isn't working. The DA is offering a deal, Reynolds tells her. Full cooperation against the network in exchange for reduced charges. But the window is closing. Dr. Whitman is already talking. After Ashley is taken back to her cell, Reynolds walks me to his office, where Linda is waiting. She looks 10 years older than she did a week ago, her face drawn with grief and shock. They found everything, she says hollowly. The files, the money. Ashley had a storage unit with detailed records going back 3 years. Linda's been extremely helpful, Reynolds explains. Her testimony testimony will be crucial in building our case. Linda reaches for my hand. I should have done more to stop her. I knew something was wrong, but I never imagined. Her voice breaks. You did the right thing in the end, I tell her, squeezing her hand. That's what matters. Reynolds' phone buzzes. He checks it and looks up with a grim smile. The underground surgeon just finished his formal statement. He's identified 23 illegal transplants across 5 states, all connected to Jason's network. This is bigger than we thought. Later that afternoon, I sit with Linda in the courthouse cafeteria as she fills in the missing pieces of our family's dark history. Ashley was always drawn to money and status, she explains, stirring her untouched coffee. When she met Mark at that charity gala 6 years ago, she thought she'd found her ticket to the life she wanted. What she didn't know was that Mark was already in debt to his brother's associates. Why didn't you tell anyone when you first suspected something? Linda's eyes fill with tears. Rick, your uncle, he had a stroke last year. He's been in assisted living since then. Ashley convinced me she was just doing medical consulting work. By the time I realized the truth, she threatened to cut off Rick's care if I said anything. The weight of everything crashes down on me. And when she called me last Tuesday morning about needing a kidney, she was desperate. Jason's condition was deteriorating, and they couldn't find another compatible donor quickly enough. Using family was risky, but they were running out of options. I think about the suitcases and boxes I'd seen at their house, not for organizing, but for disappearing after they got what they needed from me. My phone rings. It's Detective Reynolds again. You should know Mark just accepted a plea deal. He's giving up the entire operation in exchange for witness protection. Apparently, there are people higher up in the network who make Jason look like a small-time player. That night, back in my hotel room, I receive a text from an unknown number. My heart races until I open it and see it's from Patricia, Mark's mother. I'm so sorry for what my son and his family tried to do to you. I should have spoken up sooner. Thank you for your courage. Because of you, this stops now. I stare at the message for a long time, thinking about how close I came to becoming another victim. If I hadn't questioned Ashley's story, if I hadn't noticed those suitcases, if Patricia hadn't warned me. The next morning, Reynolds calls with news that the FBI has joined the investigation, expanding it to 3 more states where similar organ trafficking operations have been discovered. Your recorded conversation was the key, he tells me. Without that evidence, we might never have connected all the pieces. What happens now? I ask. Ashley and Mark will face federal charges for organ trafficking, conspiracy, and fraud. Jason and his associates are looking at additional charges for the shootout at the park. The surgeon will likely get a reduced sentence for his cooperation. And Linda, she'll be treated as a witness, not an accomplice. Her testimony is too valuable. When I finally return to my apartment after a week away, it feels different, smaller, less secure. I check all the windows and doors twice before I can relax. On my kitchen counter sits the card Ashley gave me when she first asked for my kidney, a watercolor painting of 2 hands clasped together with the words "Family is everything," written in elegant script. I tear it in half and drop it in the trash, remembering the Tuesday morning call that started this nightmare. It's been less than 2 weeks, but the cousin I thought I knew is gone forever, replaced by a stranger who saw me not as family, but as spare parts.